How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Hunted. This is from 2014. There's actually quite a few films called The Hunted. We're talking about the found footage horror film from 2014. I think IMDb listed as 2013. Indie films can have kind of a foggy release date. This one is written, produced, and directed by Josh Stewart. This movie also stars Josh Stewart. Yeah, when you get indie movies like this, budget's low and you want to keep the crew small, but it's actually quite common to have the director star in a found footage movie, because if the camera's in universe, maybe it's best to keep the director in universe as well. This movie also stars Ronnie Gene Blevins, Nikki, Deloach, and Skipp Sudduth. And found footage movies, I really like them. After Paranormal Activity came out, there was this big wave of them, and I was watching horror films then, and I watched quite a few of those, and I had a really good time. If for whatever reason, now I'm kind of wanting to go back and watch more of them, I'm not 100% sure what sparked me wanting to do this, but I've been talking about a few found footage films lately, and in the comments of actually 2 different videos, I had people recommending me this movie. And I honestly hadn't heard of it before, but I went to my local used movie shop and was lucky enough to find it. And I'm like, hey, people are talking about this, I should check it out. And to be honest, for a film that I hadn't heard anything about up until like a couple months ago, a really good surprise. This is actually a pretty fun found footage film. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, and it's not the best thing ever or anything, but it still is a pretty fun film. This one's about hunters that go into the woods to film a pilot for a new TV show, and it turns out they're not alone in the woods. And it also turns out that's a really good setup. Hunters are pretty interesting characters. There's someone that's going to go into the woods. There's someone that's going to take things seriously. They're going to be whispering a lot, and the seriousness will kind of pull you in as well. And, okay, they whisper. You might want to turn on subtitles. This is a pretty quiet movie. But you really get into it because you see that they're into it. And they're also looking and listening and paying attention. They're the kind of people that if there's something in the woods, they're gonna find it. And yeah, there's something in the woods. This woodland atmosphere is so good in this movie. They're in the woods at night a lot, and walking around knowing that there's something out there when you should be alone, and having the woods be so dark and quiet and empty, it really is eerie, and it really does get to you, and the atmosphere, really good. This movie is pretty Blair Witch. You know, Blair Witch, it's very low-key. Not a ton of stuff is going to pop out and scare you, you know. You don't see too much in this movie, and you do also get a little bit of shaky cam, like if they get scared or something. And I know a lot of people really like the Blair Witch Project, so if you're fans of Blair Witch, I would definitely recommend tracking this one down. But that being said, if you're a Blair Witch hater, this isn't going to be the movie for you, but I can definitely recommend it to the Blair Witch crowd. It's got that real feel behind it that all good found footage should have. It's got that creepy atmosphere that I can't get enough of. It's really cool. Now, that being said, towards the end, it does get a little jump scare heavy, and they do go a little bit too light on showing you what's going on. I wish we got to see a little bit more and know a little bit more to really get into this world, but I guess we are being subtle Blair Witch, so whatever. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk a little bit more about the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers. I do want to take a moment to analyze the movie and talk about some fun parts of it. I want to dig a little deeper, but I'll be avoiding the end, so don't worry about that. But I guess I want to talk about the beginning first. This movie has a really fun opening sequence that I want to give it credit for. It opens up with someone hiding and then jumping out and scaring someone, but in this clever reversal, we find the person hiding was a dad, and the person he scares and then chases around are his little kids. It's a fun introduction. Obviously a joke about found footage, someone hiding and jumping out and scaring you, but it's just dad, that's silly, A fun joke there, but also you really have to make us care for your main character, you really have to humanize him, and spending some time with his wife and his kids before the movie gets going, good way to do that. But we find out what he's doing, what he's all about. He's a hunter, and he wants to have a hunting TV show. So it's him and his friend. He's going to be the host of the show, he's going to be the hunter, and his friend quit his job at the news station to go and be the cameraman for this show. Yeah, he quit his job. Don't know if he needed to do that, but now the stakes are raised. And yeah, before we know anything about this being a horror movie, you really do see that they are risking something. They want to make it big. So, there's that. They go to the lodge, and when they're at the lodge, we find out that the guy who owns the lodge has recently acquired a new bit of land, and they're going to be the very first people to hunt on that land. Which would be fun if we didn't know it was a horror movie and they're essentially going off into the unknown. We do get their version of Crazy Ralph coming out to warn them. As any good movie, you have a Crazy Ralph there to tell you, stay out of the woods. And I really do like how they have it set up. It's 3 days. Apparently that's how long you're supposed to film a hunting show. So they know that they have to get something spectacular within that time frame. And what they're going after is a buck named Movie Star. They call him Movie Star because he's big, he's glamorous, but people only see him on trail cams. You only see this deer on camera. No one has ever seen it in real life. And if they can get Movie Star, if they can hunt him, that's essentially the show's gonna get picked up, right? So they go out for these 3 days super early in the morning, like before the sun comes up, and they get back to the lodge really late at night, once it's been dark for a while. So you kind of get double darkness there, because that's the cool part when it's dark in the woods, but also going into the woods late at night and seeing what's happened while you've been gone, going in, ooh, was that there before? I don't know. When's the sun gonna come up again? It's pretty creepy. Even before you know it's a horror movie, it's a pretty creepy setup. But one thing I really do like with this movie that I was not suspecting is how they use the found footage angle. They're shooting a TV show, so right off the bat that makes sense. Sometimes in found footage movies, it's like an overzealous kid who just hears a whisper in the woods and starts plopping cameras everywhere. But if you're shooting a TV show, you're actually going to have a ton of cameras, and I really did like that. You got the cinematographer guy who's taking it as seriously as the hunter is about hunting, and they're talking, because this is not footage that was meant to be on the show. They're talking about how to get the best shots, and okay, I should go over there and then say my line here. Alright, we're in the woods, stuff like that. And I really do like them talking about how to get the best shot and setting up the cameras and stuff. There's a really funny joke where there's a shot of them walking into the woods all cool, and then once they're in the woods, the cinematographer goes, okay, I've got that, and then he runs back out of the woods and grabs the camera again, because yeah, whenever you see those shots, in TV shows where they're walking away from the camera. That's what happens a second after the edit. So that's pretty funny there. But also the variety of cameras, because it is a show. Any other found footage movie, it would be ridiculous if it was shot with a red camera, because that's way too high a quality. But a show might have it, and you'll also have like GoPros and stuff. Why would they still be recording? Because it's a GoPro they have strapped to their body for the TV show. And I think on his bow, he even has like a GoPro looking at what he's shooting and then one looking back at his face. And every now and then you get to see the red camera in the GoPros. That's pretty cool. Trail cameras every now and then here. We all know trail cameras are creepy. I kind of wish there was more of them because, yeah, whenever they look at what they captured there, you're always expecting something creepy on those tiny little cameras. But anyway, yeah, like I said, the found footage element works, but also the horror section. How the horror comes into this movie and it getting bigger and bigger, I like how they set that up. You know, if you were to just put this in not knowing what kind of movie it was, you wouldn't know at the beginning that it was even a scary movie. But it starts to kind of get to them that there is something there, and they don't even know what it is at first. It starts off small. They hear a screaming, and they're like, what is that? It sounds like a woman screaming. And the hunter will say, that's actually a bobcat. And I hear foxes also make a sound like this, but the idea that there's something that's not a human making the sound of a woman screaming, that's unnerving and real. And he's like, look, if it was a human, they wouldn't just scream, they would probably also say, help me. The scream's also moving. If someone was in danger, they probably wouldn't be moving, and this is the time when animals are about. There's not supposed to be anyone else here. That sound that clearly sounds like someone screaming, we can all just live with the fact that it's not, right? That's a pretty good starting point, but eventually it will get bigger. One of the guys will leave his knife, and when they go into the woods the next day, it's stuck in a tree. Someone did that, right? They didn't just happen to and not notice. Someone was in here. Someone stuck the knife in the tree. And when they know that there's something out there, the question becomes, what is it? And I really do like that we as an audience don't know what it is. It could be a Woodlands madman. Maybe it's a Scooby-Doo-esque plot and someone's trying to keep them off the land. Maybe it's some kind of ghost or evil spirit or something. It could even be a woodlands creature, you know? You don't know what it is. We know that something's out there. It's apparently smart enough to put the knife in the tree, but that's about all we know for a long time. And I really do like going into a movie not knowing what the antagonist is even going to be. Now, in regards to that, though, you do basically find out. There is a scene where they get a clue and you can basically figure out what happened and what's going on here. But I do wish it was more one way or the other. Like, if it was super subtle and like if you really studied the movie, you could piece it together and figure out what's going on. Or if they just gave us a whole big lore dump. And maybe my nerdy side wants a whole big lore dump. I kind of wanted to see what was out there a little more and find out more about it. But as it stands, you know what it is, but you don't know too much about what it is, you know, and I kind of wish we got a little more. A few other things that did kind of bug me. The screaming jump scare. It does get a little overplayed at the end. There is also music in here. It just a little bit towards the end when it's supposed to be suspenseful. And it's not too bad, and I think a lot of people won't even notice it. But towards the end, when some spooky stuff happens, you do get a little bit of it. And I know that's kind of a no-no in the found footage community. A lot of people say, I don't want to see too many signs of edits other than putting the clips in the right order. And if you hear music in a found footage movie, it should be coming from a radio or something. So there is, like I said, just a tiny bit of that. So I did have to point it out. Overall, though, this movie is pretty good. I do like the hunters' intensity and the realism behind their acting. I love the woods as a set, big and creepy. As I said, though, I do wish it was either more mysterious or we got way more lore. And yeah, the jump scares at the end, a little repetitive. And if you're not fans of the Blair Witch style, you probably won't be fans of this. But overall, I thought it was a pretty fun movie. And for a found footage movie I hadn't heard of before, I can definitely recommend this one. Again, to the right crowd. You have to be the Blair Witch loving crowd. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my found footage playlist. If you guys want to see me talk about more found footage movies, I've talked about Troll Hunter, Last Exorcism, some of the VHS series, and Houses October Built. I'm working on expanding this playlist, so if you have any recommendations for found footage movies you'd like to see me cover, definitely let me know. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.